Hi, we're the Lizardz, and this is Waupaca Local Live. I see the mirror in your room, I see you sitting in your room, I see your face, it's no big disgrace in your room. I think I understand the way you move your hand in your room, I see you naked in your room, You're always naked in your room, I see your face, it's a pretty space in your room. I feel the promised land when I touch your hand in your room, You know I'm the only one who can get with you. You know you're the only one who can see this through. We might be the only ones who know what to do in your room, Look out! I see your mother in your room, Caught by another in your room, She saw my face, I'm a big disgrace in your room. She saw my face, invading your space in your room, Thank you.
Welcome to Waupaca Local Live, our first show in 2020. I'm Marcy Boku, and my host, Deb Gerke, is way over there.
Hello.
And we are really happy to be here because we have got a great band to start the year out right. We have the Lizardz from Wisconsin Rapids. Let's give them a hand. It was great. So, Deb, I'm going to let you lead off on some probing questions of these guys.
Yeah, so we need like a 3-hour tour with these guys. There's so many amazing things, so we're just going to jump right in. So there are not a lot of bands that make it past even like a handful of years, but this band, the Lizardz, has been rocking since when?
About 1989, we figure.
Do you hear that, kids? You weren't even
1989.
born yet.
And you're one of the founding members.
I'm one of the
right?
founding members along with Milo.
So Milo and Mark, founding
Milo and
members
Mark.
of the Lizardz. And then from there, I know you said we're going to just like fast forward a little bit, right? So tell us
Sure.
a little bit about that journey, and how we came to where we are now.
Well, it originally started, we were originally a blues band, and we were called Lars and the Lizardz. And it was a little bit of a joke for all you Otis and the Alligators fans.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me.
so we
Oh my
played-
god, that's so funny.
We played a jam session, and they were playing, so we said, well, let's call ourselves Lars and the Lizardz. And after Lars left, we sort of morphed from a blues band into kind of a dead band. So we were Jammy Jam, and we morphed from that over a few years after our guitar player took a choice job with the Harley-Davidson Museum. He just made a video with Katy Perry, by the way, so
Wow.
Google Katy Perry.
Wow.
And we became kind of a show band for a little bit.
Okay.
and
Meaning,
decided,
like, did you have outfits?
not quite that bad, but
Super cool leisure suits.
super
and stuff.
leisure suits and
Yeah.
Elvis stuff.
No kidding.
But
Kind of a variety band, right?
yeah,
Glad you
but
missed that phase.
the
right?
music,
That came
the
later.
music wasn't really true, I think, to what we were doing. So, what happened, I think, after that is we became this unit. And after
So-
playing cover bands and cover songs for 20-some years, we sort of made a conscious decision to say, well, you know what, most bands that are bands write music. So
Right.
let's focus on that rather than
Oh.
So
the
it's
other
kinda
side of it. So.
Another question related to that then. So you went through that journey and you decided, yeah, it's time for original music. So how did you find your sound? And anybody can answer that. You guys,
Yeah.
anyone can jump in. And how does the sound continue to evolve?
I think it's a meld of everybody's influences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I
so
think
let's
so.
hear some influences from each of you. How about that?
That'd be good.
I'm the poppy guy. I like Beatles, Badfingers, Turtles, that kind of stuff.
The British.
The British,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can really feel that
Yeah.
vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
great.
that was mine. Mark's more of a Steely Dan.
I'm a Steely Dan, Floyd
Amen.
kind of
Cool.
guy,
Uh-huh.
big into Floyd, and a lot of British invasion. That's kind of what I grew up with. so.
But you also mentioned the Dead.
And the Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, you know, the Dead was more secondary, I think,
Okay.
than the other, than
Right.
the Floyd influences.
Okay. All right.
I think it had to do with Bill, our previous guitar player, and being a deadhead.
Okay.
You know,
Okay,
so you come in with 150 songs in your repertoire.
right.
And you got gigs to play.
Yeah.
So you had to play
Well,
it.
there you go. What about you, Jamie?
Mine's a little bit more complicated. I grew up in the late 70s, morphing into the hair band era of the 80s.
Oh,
but
okay.
I kind of stuck with the Pink Floyd, the Stones, Rush, throwing a little Iron Maiden influence in there as well. But I honed in more on the songwriting. So, you know, I studied like the Neil Peart lyric writing and the Steve Harris from Iron Maiden bass line writing and things like that.
Okay.
And so while we are not a metal band, you will hear some bass lines throughout our albums that might be influenced by Geddy Lee or Steve Harris.
Okay.
That's cool. And Mike?
I'm a product of the early '80s, so I was involved with the new wave thing that took place. So the Cars were there. and,
Right.
there was Dire Straits, of course. Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing kicked off for me from the Hollies.
Hmm.
You know, back when I was a kid, made me want to play. So.
Okay.
Very cool. And Travis?
I'd have to say my roots are probably in country music, older country music, because my dad was in a country band. So that's what I grew up listening to in the house.
Uh-huh.
But my passion is probably more into the 90s era of music, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and all those guys. But yet at the same time, one of my favorite albums of all time is the Derek and the Dominoes album.
So I feel like we just had a PBS show on music history. I swear to God, how could you be
Right?
any more eclectic? Nobody said the same
Such-
thing.
Yeah,
was
but
amazing.
but yet there are common threads in all of those.
Yeah.
I feel like, and that's the fusion that is unique to you guys. That's
Well-
really really great.
And I like the multi-generational, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying anybody's old, but, you know, rock has such a rich history from the other century, and
Right.
it's really coming through. It's just really fun. You guys have a great vibe. So I think we have to do another song. Do you want to
Sure.
tell us what you're going to play next?
What are we doing? Staring at
Staring at
Silence?
Silence.
Yeah, Staring at Silence. It's a mellower song off our most recent album,
Okay.
River to Nowhere. So
All right.
Milo's going to sing this one.
Oh, great. Okay, so the Lizards.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm ready.
Staring Have you ever seen the roses? Have you had someone pay your dues? Remember when we watched that movie? That movie without words. Have you ever stared at silence? Slid through the open door of life? Have you ever closed your eyes? Cut the river with a knife. Did you ever see the flame? Did you ever hide in shame? Did you know the fire was dying? There's no one but me to blame. Have you ever stared at silence? Slipped through the open door of life? Have you ever closed your eyes? Cut the river with a knife. Did you ever run your hands across a road map of diamonds? Did you ever feel the sand slipped between your fingers? Have you ever caught the silence left behind at the door of life? Have you ever closed your eyes? Cut the river with a knife.
Waupaca Local Live, and we are in the studio with 2019 Whammy People's Choice nomination, The Lizardz. And the Lizardz hail all the way from Wisconsin Rapids. They came to Waupaca to share their music with us, and we are, like, I'm completely fangirling a little bit. You guys are really, really awesome.
Fangirling.
Yeah, I'm fangirling, I am, because I love it. And I know that we're getting acoustic versions of some of your music, right?
Yep.
And then later, we're going to go to 22 Lakes, and then you're going to be like full on, right?
Yep.
You
Yes. So I think it's super cool that we're getting both of these flavors. Now, we need to get down to business because there's still a ton of story to cover. So let's talk about someone in the band, I think it's you, Jamie, right, that has a connection with Blue Oyster Cult, yeah?
Yeah, so many years ago, and Jeff Goss, our former lead guitar player, him and I met in Madison, and we were both Blue Oyster Cult fans for years and years, and through that connection, we got to know Buck Dharma. You know, he wrote "Don't Fear the Reaper" and the More Cowbell sketch on Saturday Night Live. we got to know him and the band, and over a period of years, it almost like became a friendship. And miraculously, he got involved with our first album.
Wow, that is pretty incredible.
What year was that?
When he got involved with our first album?
Yeah.
Well, we put the album out in 2013. In 2012, we were down in Baraboo at their show, and we were in the bar with him, and I sat at the table, and I said to Buck, I said, we're working on a new album, got a couple songs we need some lead guitar on, you interested in helping us out? And he kind of thinks about it and goes, yeah, I am.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I remember hearing about that.
And
Some Rapids connections.
and lo and behold, he recorded some rhythm and lead guitar. He ended up mixing a couple songs and co-producing them for us, and took them to the next level.
That's
So
awesome.
That's amazing.
we're still feeling
Yeah.
good about that.
Good vibes about that.
Yep.
Absolutely, that's
And his
definitely worth
bandmate
feeling good about.
And Blue Oyster Cult also helped out too, right?
Yeah, Richie Castellano, another phenomenal musician. He's got a whole bunch of projects going on. He was actually the first one to step up and play on our album. And he just, tore it apart. I had parts back to us within a week. And
Wow.
and
Are you guys listening to this? These guys are the real deal. And they're local. This is so incredible. Very cool. Okay, so then somehow this road led you to Abbey Road, right?
Well, once we were going to put out a CD, and once we got Buck involved and Richie involved, we kind of knew we had to step it up a little bit. So we wound up doing a Kickstarter project. We booked Abbey Road, and people asked, "How did you do it?" And I was recovering from surgery, and I went online and I hit book. And lo and behold, we had a date booked at Abbey Road. So there wasn't, magic there, but we wound up raising enough money through Kickstarter to pay for the mastering and for the vinyl production. And we had a magical day with an engineer named Alex Wharton. Took us inside the studio, and we had it mastered on one of the old EMI British boards that Pink Floyd and all those people had it done on. And he got to see the Beatles studio and the Floyd studio. And
he kind of took us a few places we probably weren't supposed to be. But
yeah.
But
Did you go up
that's
on the
so
roof?
cool.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No, but we talked to the lady who served coffee and food to the Beatles, and the guy that set up the microphones for Dark Side of the Moon, so that doesn't suck.
That's
And the
just an
engineer for
amazing
Exile on
story.
Main Street, who
Yeah.
came back not
Yeah.
quite the same.
Yep.
South of France.
How long did you stay in England?
Well, the mastering was during a day, and then we had met up. I was there for a week, and Jamie met us there. And
So just the two of you were there?
well, and the weird thing was we wound up contacting Danny Miranda, who was a bass player for Blue Oyster Cult, who happened to be two tube stops down from where we were staying.
He was touring with Meatloaf at the time on the Bat Out of Hell.
The Bat Out of Hell at the O2 Arena. He asked if we could take him to Abbey Road, and we of course said yes.
Because you go there all the time.
Yeah.
And,
record.
so that was
Second
his,
home. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, that was his first taste of Abbey Road.
Wow.
And
Fun
so as a
story.
result, they comped us some VIP passes at the O2, and we found ourselves backstage and all of that kind of
What a
stuff. So
crazy
it's
story.
Still pinching ourselves. Right?
yeah.
So what about you other three though? I mean, they went and did this. They're still pinching themselves, and y'all are like, what?
Yeah.
Well, see, they fired up the Abbey Road cam, so the infamous crosswalk for Abbey Road,
Yes.
they have that on camera on live stream. So I know Travis had it fired up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I think, and was doing some screenshots of Mark and I walking across waving.
Oh, that's awesome too.
Now, everybody might not understand the process, right? Abbey Road doesn't mean we recorded our band there. Everything was recorded here in Wisconsin Rapids.
Okay.
Mastering is when you take everything that's been recorded and they run it through their stuff.
Right,
and
very
they-
good.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
Put the final polish on it.
Yeah.
Not
Final
all of us
polish.
have had the opportunity to be all, like that.
Yeah,
So,
they bring everything up to like industry standards and
Yeah.
try to EQ so everything sounds of a piece.
right.
Which
So
is
which
the
album,
master.
what's the name of the album that you did that?
Eye Blinder.
So that's the one from
That's
2013,
13,
yes?
yes.
That
Okay.
is this album right here.
Nope, is this the newer one?
That's the
That's-
first one.
That's
That's
the first
the
This
one.
is the
yeah.
vinyl right
Okay.
here.
So this is the Kickstarter success.
Correct.
Very
And you've
good.
got the names of the Blue Oyster Cult people on the front. That's your little marketing.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
We actually ended up on the Blue Oyster Cult website too. It freaked us out.
Wow.
We loaded up one day and it's Buck and Richie appear on Wisconsin band album.
Oh man, that is so incredible. That is so incredible.
So did that have any kind of influence on your songwriting? Because I know that you're doing original music now, so did that influence you in any way in terms of either playing with those guys or just that whole catapult into that other world?
I think if anything, the long-standing relationship we've had with that band and Buck specifically is he's always encouraged us to do our own thing, write our own songs, have our own voice, and just be original. And he's always encouraged us to, send some demos to him. He wants to hear what we're doing, what's going on, and he's provided some feedback. And it's don't copy anybody, be yourselves.
Yeah. So did you just say, okay, I'm going to start writing songs today, get out a pencil and sharpen it, and then, okay? Or were you always writing
They were
songs?
writing. You were writing before.
I think we were all writing to a certain extent,
Okay,
but it's evolved over time. Now we have an outlet for it.
all right.
you
Yeah,
know.
and I know we've got one more segment that we can talk with you after your next song. So let's dig deeper into that whole process, the writing process and stuff
Yeah.
next time around. It's probably time to hear another song. I'm ready.
So, yeah, what are you going to play this next song?
I don't remember.
I think we're going to do Utah Moon off that first album.
Okay, all right. The Lizards and Utah Moon.
Thanks, guys.
Utah moon shine on the canyon. Shine your light upon the roofs. Utah moon, don't you let your power lead me home. Lead me home. Will you reveal your sweet mystery? Will you show us who you are? Will you share your sweet victory? Will you reveal me to the stars? Cold as the devil, hot as hell below. Shadows of the old ones, looking black as coal. Ooh, where did they wander? Where did the children go? Leaving food and shelter and stand in silent testament to mankind's twisted fate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Utah moon, won't you shine on the canyon? Shine your light upon the roofs. Utah moon, won't you let your power lead me home? Lead me home. Utah moon, won't you shine on the canyon? Utah moon, won't you shine down on me? Utah moon, won't you let your power lead me home? Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home. Lead me home.
Thank you.
We are live in the studio with the Lizardz at Waupaca Local Live, and we're really excited, and we wish we had more time, but we have one more segment that we can talk about your rich history of music. You guys have 25 years of great experience, great stories, and where we left off, you were in England at Abbey Road having your album mastered with players from Blue Oyster Cult, and now you have a new album, River to Nowhere, which, when did this come out?
Came out summer of 2018.
Okay, so fairly new. And I understand that you guys actually recorded this yourselves.
Well,
And
That's
ended
kind
up
of a-
mastering it, right? Let's take us,
And
there's a
master
cool
solo.
story there too. You guys are filled with cool stories.
so
Yeah.
the first album, we kind of wrote songs individually or in pairs and brought them in and fleshed them out as a band.
Okay.
This newer album, River to Nowhere, we started writing together a little bit more. And the first album we did record at our group studio. Second album we recorded at the studio as well. We recorded in kind of a circle within the rehearsal space to get drums and bass and some basic stuff. And then overdubs were done later at our studio and Travis's studio. And Travis is an excellent engineer and producer.
Yay, Travis.
The kind of quality material that's coming out of his studio is pretty fantastic. So Trav mixed the album, essentially, and we decided to go down to Nashville to a mastering studio called Welcome to 1979. There was some great, go figure, we keep going backwards. There were some great albums being produced out of that. Jason Isbell, Pete Townsend was there, and they were going to put our songs onto analog tape and master them that way. So again, kind of a throwback to get a better quality. So Travis, Jeff, and I went down to Nashville. We had a couple songs mastered. It was really fun. And then a couple months later, Travis and I are on our way to Minneapolis one night, and we're listening to these 3 test masters, and there was something about them that really bothered us. And through some process of elimination, we decided, look, we've got the tools here, right here in our own backyard. He did a phenomenal job mixing it. Let's try and master it ourselves. So I did the mastering at my studio, and I think it ended up turning out pretty good.
That's amazing.
So all the songwriting, all the recording, all the mixing, all the production, all the mastering on that album, done right here in central Wisconsin.
All the
That's
artwork.
amazing.
All the artwork, yes, cannot forget it.
Wow.
Well, and thanks for the shout out to the artist. Who did the artwork?
Wow.
Mark.
That's incredible.
And you can find Mark's artwork on a variety of albums, local albums and otherwise. He kind of puts them together pretty nicely. So
He's actually a former art teacher for Lincoln High School.
Taught graphic design for 25 years, so
yeah.
Wow. So
I got the tools and the skills.
that's amazing. I mean, there's so many like applausible moments, right? Is that a word, applausible? I'm not really sure.
is now.
Well, here's the thing though, is somehow we've garnered a following in Germany, of all places,
Yeah.
Germany. And we've had albums reviewed in these great rock magazines. And one of the things that the reviewer did about this album is he put in his review, other bands should take note at how good this sonically sounds. And we all kind of took a step back and said, I guess we did the right thing and made the right decision.
Yeah.
So that kind of validated our choice.
So you've done any touring in Europe? A lot of bands are doing that now. There's some kind of corridor that people go through. They get all these gigs.
I'd love to.
I'd love to.
Sign me up.
Let's see a show
know
of
a group of
bands. If
musicians.
you need, some like interviewer people kind
Yeah,
of to come
and
along.
then
I
when
mean,
you carry your stuff.
yeah.
But
I'll
we
quit
do
my
know
job.
some musicians that have done that. We can talk later about that, but that's,
We
that
do need
sounds
an
like
entourage.
would be fun. All right, so, and songwriting, you're doing it all now. I mean, you started out as a kind of a cover band, and now you're doing it all, including the,
Now with our newest member, Mike Clark here, he stepped in and we're writing a new album with Mike right now, and I think it's going
Jeez.
pretty well.
And we're writing even more organically for the third album. All 5 of us are in the room
Oh,
with
wow.
ideas and fleshing it out while the tape is running. And
That's incredible.
it's turned out really well so far.
So far.
and where can we find your music, guys? Where can people buy this or download it now? Are you on all the platforms, basically?
CD Baby, iTunes, Amazon. You can contact us on the Lizardz, thelizards.com
Your
Facebook.
website?
or Facebook.
Or Facebook. you
Let's
know.
make sure everyone knows how you guys pluralize your name because it's not lizards with an S the way we learned to spell it. You put a Z on the end.
I didn't put a Z on.
Well, I put a Z on the end. It's a URL thing, so.
Okay.
Lizards was
If
taken
we
by
wanted
some
to do
lizard
our,
thing.
our own our URL, we had to change it to.
Right, so it's
is
the
it
Lizards,
thelizards.com?
Yes,
Lizardz.
thelizards.com.
Okay. Yes.
Right, Lizards.
2 Z's, but
Two
not
Zs.
together, one in the middle
Right.
and one at the end.
And you're playing regularly,
say?
playing out regularly?
About 30 shows a year, I think we've been averaging.
Okay, that's pretty many. Have you played in the Waupaca area at all, up until today?
This is the
Not
first
really?
time in
First
the
time.
dozen years I've been in the band.
Well,
Well,
we'd
it
like to
might be
have
the
you back.
first, but it's not going to
Not
be
gonna
the last.
All right, so I think you've developed some new fans, both in this
Awesome.
room and online. We've got a lot of people watching on Facebook Live. So you guys just keep tabs on these guys. We're going to get one more song out
Yep.
of them, I think. What's our last song going to be?
We're going to do the title track of our new album, River to Nowhere.
The River to Nowhere with the Lizards.
I think you were waiting for it too.
Thank you.